my whole life I wanted to be a teacher. I was one of those little girls that would line up my dolls and my stuffed animals and I would play school. The director, he calls me and he says, "Hi, Jenna, I'm so sorry. Your work visa has been denied." In Germany, you know, you wait, the U-Bahn opens, you let people out, and then you go on. In Paris, it's just a psh, and everyone's just shoving on.
Like forced entry.
If you ever want to find me on a Sunday in Paris, it will be with a cappuccino and at the flea markets, just shifting through everything.
Hi everyone. Today's guest is living proof that you can move to France and teach in France, and I'm sure a lot of teachers out there have fantasized about this idea. So, well, Jenna, I'm sure you'll tell us a lot of stuff, and you'll teach us a lot of stuff. So, what is the reality of like teaching in Paris like?
Yeah, the reality of it is very similar, honestly, to teaching anywhere else. It's very similar, you know, you have a group of kids in a classroom that come from all different backgrounds and cultures and learning styles. Even as a teacher from the US, you work with children of all different languages, home languages. So honestly, it's very similar just in terms of we follow the national French curriculum, the same as I would do in the US, and we teach using that. And yes, it's been going well so far.
Which, is that the same age band you're teaching in France that you were teaching in the US?
Yes, so I taught first grade in the US, and now I have CP. I have first grade here.
Okay, so those, we don't use the same grades because like classe préparatoire. Oh, no.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had to study these.
Yeah, it's very
CP,
different.
CE1, CE2, I had to study before my interviews.
I must admit the French grading is quite confusing. Like it doesn't really make sense.
Yes.
It goes up and down. It's like,
Just year 1, year 2, year 3 makes the most sense to me, but I enjoy the cycles. It's a different concept.
I'll give you that.
Yes.
So actually, I've heard online, maybe, you know, obviously I've Googled your work because I'm not familiar with it. And I've seen a lot of US teachers, they think of themselves as like glorified babysitters. You know, that's, maybe it's wrong, but that's something I've seen pop up a few times. And a few things, you know, because they say they're struggling with being burnt out, with the school, you know, not necessarily being like school safety being an issue and stuff like this. So would you say it is, well, first, would you say it's true, and B, would you say it's different here?
It really depends on your school, and I think it depends on your district and your team. Honestly, teaching anywhere like the US or France, it's still very similar in terms of we work really, really hard. We pour our hearts into this. And the pay is not great, I will be honest. It is. France, yeah. In Paris, the teacher salary, it's hard. Paris is very expensive. So it's the same, I think, as teaching in any major city, whether it's the US or in a major city in France. But it's good. It's a very rewarding job at the end of the day.
The French have this reputation with kids, especially because you're teaching those like 6-7 years old, of being kind of, you know, laid back, very hands off. Whereas the Americans have this reputation, again, maybe it's just a cliche, but of being more involved. Would you say those cliches are true?
No, I think you put 20 children in a room together and you're going to have all sorts of different types of families. So of course I do have families who are very proactive in their child's education. I am spending my lunches and my prep just emailing them back and trying to explain everything, and they want to know everything we're doing, and they want to have those same books at home so that they can work on it at home. But I also have parents where I'm like, hey, your child hasn't turned in any homework this whole school year, checking in, is everything okay? So I have both. I have a good mixture of very far on this side, very far on that side, and everything in between.
Okay. And I would say, as a generalization, the people you see, for example, in Paris versus the people, I think you're from California. Versus the people, for example, like, again, parents in California. Would you say there is like, it seems to be like there's a different trend in terms of parenting styles, you know, like, in general, again, I'm just generalizing, but maybe it's interesting because of COVID, and just having COVID kids and COVID babies and who they are and how that affected them long term. But
I think, again, you have a room full of 20 kids. You're going to have all different types of people in that room. And then especially here, my particular school is quite international. So I have children who maybe do speak English at home and French is their second language. Or we have some kids that speak a third language at home and French and English are their second and third language. So we really have a huge mix of cultures.
And so you didn't flee from the US because of the school type, or what got you to move to France? Basically, is that to experience this different teaching style, or maybe just for the romance of Paris, the city of love?
So my whole life I wanted to be a teacher. I was one of those little girls that would line up my dolls and my stuffed animals and I would play school. So I was very lucky that when it was time for me to go to university, I knew I wanted to major in education. I was very interested in education around the world, and so if I had the opportunity, I remember my senior year of high school, I had to do a big senior project, and my topic was the difference in education systems around the world, and I was just very interested in it. And so I knew I wanted to maybe go and teach abroad someday, and so I graduated, I got my teaching credential, and then I applied all over the EU to all the major cities to different schools. And then I ended up picking Munich. I got a job very quickly in Munich, Germany, and that's where I spent 2.5 years. And then I love Munich. I still love Munich. It has a big place in my heart to this day. But I just felt like I grew out of it. And when you're in your 20s and you're in a big city, people come and go. And a lot of my friends, after about 2 years, started to leave and go to different cities. And I just felt like, you know what, it's my time. I applied all over again to major cities throughout the EU. And Paris just stuck. I had 3 interviews at 3 different schools, and they all just happened to be in Paris. I think we just have a lot of the private bilingual schools here that are willing to sponsor American and British teachers because they really value having a native English teacher or a C1, C2 English teacher.
Oh, you actually told me, shared this funny anecdote just before we got started about you applying, because then you had to apply for a visa from Germany.
Yeah.
Which is apparently to France, which is apparently something they haven't seen quite often.
Yes, here comes me walking into the Frankfurt French consulate, and I say, hi, here's my American passport. I need a work visa for France. And they took one look at it and they said, huh? Like, we do not know how to do this. We will look and we will get back to you. The woman at the consulate was very kind. She was really helpful. She was like, you know what? I'll ask somebody, we'll figure this out, we'll get this to you. And I did have it within the week. I was very lucky, yes.
Yeah, no, so who says, French public workers aren't necessarily efficient?
They were working back there. Yes, I was very grateful for it to come in within the week.
And so I've seen in some of your clips that you mentioned kind of being a different person. Like there is the French version of you and the American version. So and like it feels like, I mean, I've written it like you're code switching, and so what would be the difference between those personas?
It's funny leaving your home country so young. Gosh, I was 23 when I left the US and then went to Germany for a couple years, and now being in France, I feel like I've taken what I like, the goodness and the different characteristics that I value from each and every culture, and now I'm kind of just like this mosh podge of a person. Sometimes I always think to myself, like, gosh, I'm act like in my head, I'm being so German right now. When I go on the metro, I don't know why in Paris people don't understand the concept of go to the side of the door. You first let people leave, and then you wait a second until they leave, and then it's your turn, and then you may enter the metro. That was very known in Germany. You wait, the U-Bahn opens, you let people out, and then you go on. In Paris, it's just a psh, and everyone's just shoving on.
It's forced entry.
Ooh, yes, it drives me nuts. I'm like, guys, please slow down, just take a breath, just wait for them to leave, and then we go on. So I think I just like have all of these different characteristics from living in different places, and also making friends with people from all over the world. I think I've learned a lot from others, and I've kind of just, again, this mosh podge of a person now.
No, but that's talking about those cliches about, the French. And so one of those includes the work-life balance, which funnily is something that we've, like the French, have taken in quite recently, actually, from the US, because it was not really a thing. It was more like a lifestyle. So would you say you get to experience that now that you're working in France? And how long have you been working here?
1 year.
Okay.
So this is my second year teaching here.
Okay.
Yes. So I still feel
you
like a
had
newbie,
experience,
but I have had experience. Yes. For the schools, I think that the public school system, they have a better work-life balance than my particular school, just because we're private, we kind of set our own hours. And as you know, in France, you go to school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and so Wednesday, no school. But for my particular school, I have a special Wednesday English club. And so Wednesdays are actually my hard day, where I'm working from 8:30 until 6:30. And then same thing with the public school holidays. The public schools are 6 weeks on and then 2 weeks off. I have to work one of those weeks because we do a special camp with the children, and so we stay on. And then summer, we're out of school end of June, I think it's the first week of July this year. And then I will do a summer camp. We all the teachers at my school do it for all of July. And then we have all of August off, which is lovely. It's wonderful. I've really enjoyed my long summer this year, having all of August off. However, because the public school systems are off, prices just skyrocket because everyone wants to. And so on the teacher salary, traveling around in August, a little bit difficult, but we make it work.
And about the, week by week, because you do the 35 hours, I suppose?
Yes, yep.
Yes, so compared to the US, I have no idea, actually. How is it?
I have no idea either. Truly, having worked now for a year with 35 hours a week, I cannot imagine going back to 40.
Oh, that was 40 in the US?
I think so,
okay.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, with prep time and everything and documentation and meetings, I believe so.
Okay.
But from my memory, yes, I think I was doing 40.
And well, so you've battled the French admin system, as it's a legendary monster, apparently.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have a few anecdotes to share with that? Because actually, well, not only you're here today in Paris, so you made it, but you probably had to do quite a few admin stuff to get there. A few memories you'd like to share?
I barely made it. Just barely. So I actually had a different job lined up. I had a job offer at a school in the 16th. What was it? October, it had to have been 2023. I applied. They did my first interview in October. It was quite a long interview process. I interviewed with so many different people. Come January, I finally had a job offer. I was really excited. I told all my friends I'm moving to Paris. I started spending a lot of money on French classes. It's quite expensive. I was reading all about Paris and France and learning about the education system. Then spring comes along. Gosh, it must have been April or May. The director, he calls me and he says, "Hi, Jenna, I'm so sorry. Your work visa has been denied." Yeah. Oh. I was devastated. I had already quit my job in Munich. I've already told everybody that I was moving to Paris. I let myself be upset about it for a little bit. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. Picked myself back up, applied and applied and applied all over the place. I applied to jobs that I honestly didn't want, like the after-school care programs, great program. It was just for me, I was interested in just doing a full-day school. Applied and applied and applied. I ended up getting the job that I have now on a maternity leave. So a teacher was pregnant and she was leaving and they needed me to come in. I adore my school. I really like my colleagues. So I think that was one of those everything happens for a reason moments. Yes, that door closed and it was devastating. And to this day, I don't know why. My work visa was denied, but another door opened and I can't imagine being not at the school that I'm at now.
That's really interesting because, it's something a lot of people fantasize about, like move to France and find a job. And so first, they don't necessarily realize it's find a job first before you can move to France. And then there's still a visa process. So,
yep.
I mean, usually if you have a sponsor, it should be fine. But I mean, unfortunately, you're the proof that it can happen, that it could be denied.
It was...
But you were persistent And
yes.
you got it. So.
Yes, I knew in my heart I wanted to go to Paris. At some point, it was one of those situations where I was like, gosh, is the universe just telling me, do not go to Paris? And then it all worked out. But I think my visa got denied because we were approaching the Olympics. And my idea is maybe the government was like, way too much stuff going on right now. Try to find a teacher that's already here.
Yeah, could be.
Or the director doesn't know how to fill out paperwork.
Could also be
yes.
an explanation. You also shared a funny anecdote before we started shooting the interview. I was about to ask you a question about some of the lost in translation moments that you may have, but actually, you're completely forbidden at your school to even speak French or try to speak French.
Yes. So in my contract, I'm not allowed to speak French, and so that makes it difficult to improve. However, the kids, they do speak French. I'm around it all day, and you really pick up on kid French.
Yeah, and it's funny because apparently, like, they don't want you to speak French because you may have some accents or may pronounce things weirdly, and then they may pick that up as well.
Yes, we're teachers.
Yeah.
They're learning from us. So in our contracts, all of our contracts, it says English teachers are only allowed to speak English, French teachers are only allowed to speak French. But all of our meetings for my particular school, everything's in English. All of our documentation is in English. Anything that's important, so like the drills, they're all French and English. Because obviously in case we get inspected or when we do get inspected, we have to have it in French.
And so, cheeky question,
Okay.
how's your French then? Can you manage on a daily basis?
Like I said, I learn a lot from the children, but it's slow as a teacher. It's definitely really slow. Just because we work all day long and we're so busy. I come in an hour early and sometimes I stay an hour late. And a lot of us have second jobs just to make rent in Paris.
Rent is expensive here.
Rent is expensive. And something I didn't realize, how expensive French classes are. And then the city puts on French classes that are a little bit cheaper, but it's a lottery system. So for me, I applied to get into these classes, but because of my schedule, I could only apply to a certain blocks, and I didn't get in. Yes.
You mentioned kind of traveling around, like Germany here. It's actually two questions in one. Actually, do you think you're going to stay in France maybe forever? Or do you think you're going to fly somewhere else? But the second question is, do you think you're going to maybe be homesick some point and like come back to the US?
I mean, I miss my family, and I miss California, and I miss all the good parts of California, and I miss my friends, my childhood friends. I'm finally getting to the point where I used to go home and feel like nothing's really changed. And now babies are coming. I have a lot of friends having babies. I have one I get to meet come Christmas time in December, so I'm really excited to get to meet him for the first time. Speaking of babies, my partner and I were kind of starting to talk about that, not anytime soon, but near future, just thinking about maternity leave and safety and where we want to do that and what city. And I love Paris. I adore Paris. I'm so happy here. I could be happy here for the next 10 years, I think. However, Paris is not the most child-friendly place in the world, and it is definitely not baby safe. I'm sure you've seen it in the metros. No escalators, no elevators. Those parents are strong with the strollers going up and down those stairs. Yes, so we'll see. It's definitely a topic of conversation. For now, yes, I will stay in Paris.
We didn't talk about this as well, because I suppose you have like a contract, like a CDI or CDD or something like that, which, I mean, obviously the American audience, or some of our audiences, but may not know how that works, like are protected, you are like in case of sick leaves and stuff like this, because it really doesn't work like it does in the US, like sick leaves, for example. If you're sick, you just put on a sick leave and, well, you could be sick for a week, a month.
Yes.
Like you have a protection, and same for maternity leave. Like you could go like for you have I think it's 3 months, almost 3 months for the mom, 1 month for the father. So there's a lot of social protection in a way, or I don't know how to call that. But
Yes. It's not as long as you would think, or as long as you would hope, the maternity leave here, I think, compared to other countries nearby.
The paid one, yeah.
The paid one, yes. But you're right, we are very protected. Sick days, maternity leave, it's nice to have that protection. It's very hard to fire somebody in France.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
yes.
No, it is. No, you feel you have to do something wrong.
Yes, you get to get past that 3 months of your new job, and then it's pretty cushy.
You also, I think you're part of an expat teacher community in France or in Paris. How important would you say it is to have a community of, let's say, expats or like foreign people or people from foreign origins in a new city or in a new country? How would you say, how important is that in your life at least?
It's so important. It is so important. The online expat pages have helped me a lot throughout this journey and this process. I've met all of my very close friends from these expat pages. And then in terms of teachers, I think it is important to have teacher friends. I just so happen to be really close with my coworkers, and so we'll go out for a drink sometimes after work, happy hour, €5 Aperol spritzes. And I think it's been really helpful just to kind of unload and say, here's what's happening, what can we do better, what's going on, like here are the pros, here are the cons, here are my highlights of the week. And it's really nice to go out with them after work and just laugh and maybe cry. Being a teacher is not easy, so I think, being a teacher is not easy, and then being an expat is definitely not easy. And so I think for anybody, no matter where you are in life, having that good support group is absolutely essential. And
I'm going to try to pronounce that word right, but you mentioned a few times that, Paris is expensive, and indeed payrolls, and especially if you compare that to the US, payrolls in France are much. I think the average or the median salary is like 2,200 a month, whereas it's probably like 4 or something in the US, 4,000 or something. So it's a lot less. So would you say this is one of the reasons why, I'll try to pronounce this one, thrift shopping?
Oh yeah, thrift. Yeah, you got the TH right. Yeah, that's a hard one.
It's difficult
thrift,
to say.
Yeah.
But would you say it's one of the reasons why it feels good in France and kind of like secondhand stuff is more maybe socially acceptable?
Yeah, I love the thrift shopping in Paris, and I love the flea markets. I think that there are what Paris is kind of known for, at least online, the fancy designer vintage stores where you can spend 300, 400 euros on something. Yes, we have those, and they're beautiful stores, but we also have affordable ones where it's just people donating their lightly worn clothes, and you can get something for very, very cheap. The flea markets are my absolute favorite. If you ever want to find me on a Sunday in Paris, it will be with a cappuccino and at the flea markets, just shifting through everything. I love meeting friends and just going for a walk through the flea markets and finding.
That's very Parisian.
Yes, you can find some really good deals there.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
Just to stick on the topic of students, because you've experienced both, and because I like to be a bit cheeky, French students versus American students, who would you say is more creative or best behave?
Oh, I feel like there's no answer to that.
There's no umbrella answer, of course.
Yes. Sometimes I look at my class of first graders and I'm just like, oh gosh, you guys are such city kids. You're just like, they're just so cooped up sometimes. And oh man, I just wish I could open a door and let them run out and run free. We go to the public parks, which is a crazy concept in my American mind, to take children to a public park with no fence and we walk them on the street. But anyways, no, I can't really say that one is like this and another is like this. I think we have a huge mix of kids.
Okay, good. You got away nicely. That's good. Also for people that might be watching us, who might want to teach in France, like you do, well, private or public, is there like one bit of advice or advices that you would like to give them?
My advice would be, if you want to teach or even just move abroad, if you put your heart and your mind to it, you can absolutely do it. It will be hard, it will be challenging, but if you set your mind to something, keep trying, you can do it. My move to Germany was quite quick, but my move to Paris, because of the visa problems and everything, my move to Paris was a lot. It was over a year. It was a really bumpy road, but I got here, I made it, and now I feel like I'm finally able to and enjoy it. So I think if you want to move, it's a lot of work.
And although well, it took you a while to secure that first sponsor, who eventually let you down, maybe unwillingly, but you actually worked quite fast in securing the second one around.
I did. Yes.
So in a way, it shows that, I don't know, being persistent maybe pays off as well.
Yes, yeah, being persistent and not taking the signs from the universe that are saying, oh, maybe you shouldn't come to Paris.
Yeah, but they wanted you to go to the thrift shops and stuff.
Yes, and my kids needed me. You know, I was,
Good
I was sent to be with the kids that I have. Yeah.
Well, Jenna, that was really a really eye-opening conversation for me, because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I have kids myself, but there's a lot of things I didn't realize about, some different cultures and backgrounds, which is really nice. And, Parisian kids as well, because I'm in the countryside. So thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. Before we wrap it all up, if people want to get in touch, where can they find you?
Yep, I'm on TikTok at Maîtresse Jenna. Maîtresse means miss. It means teacher in French, and so it's basically just Miss Jenna. It's teacher Jenna. Maîtresse Jenna on TikTok.
That's how I found you, yeah.
Yes.
Which is, it could be a double-edged sword, maîtresse.
I know. We just hope people don't take it as the other one.
You Google that and you'll see French is full of those double-edged swords.
Yes.
So, Jenna, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for coming to the show, and we'll see each other soon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks.